We're speaking with Matt Vincent. He's the Executive Director of the Montana Mining Association up here at the World Museum of Mining. And Matt, mining, important topic, one that has had its ups, it's had its downs, and is, through this museum, kind of explained to the public about the importance of mining. Let's talk a little bit about the Montana Mining Association, your role, and how it plays into the success of a civilization.
Yeah, very, very good. I'm happy to be here. And, I know they're kind of in reference to some of the ups and downs. Montana has learned a lot of lessons on how it's done mining over the centuries, I guess, here. Well, maybe not centuries, but the last century and a half here in Montana. We've been mining pretty much nonstop for everything from gold to coal. And our regulations have come along and kind of help protect our citizenry and our environment from the lessons we've learned. And in some of those battles over how far the regulations should go, there's always been these wars of public opinion, and bumper stickers was a way to get the message out a lot of times. And I always remember one that said, if it can't be grown, it must be mined. And that sounds, it gets heaped with a lot of criticism, but I would challenge somebody to prove it wrong, because if it doesn't get grown out of the ground, it has to be mined. And that is true for a advancing society and civilization. I mean, you look at the ages that have been there. There's the Stone Age, which was mining and processing of stone tools, which moved into the Iron Age, which moved into the Bronze Age. And now I think folks are starting to refer to this as, there's been multiple ages and revolutions and whatnot, but I think we're in the materials age right now. And so I would say that because of this realization and the pinch points we're starting to see in the supply chains for those materials, mining probably is under a more positive light, or at least the understanding that we cannot live and do good and advance without it. And I think that's kind of what we've been focusing on. I know we're going to talk a lot about Montana Mining Day, which was something that we brought forth at the last 2025 legislature, and the governor signed that into law. And it's all about the conversation we're going to embark on today, and that's how important is mining to the state of Montana, and you can go beyond Montana, obviously. What are we doing today, and how is it going to continue tomorrow? And we had the governor sign that into law back in February. So
pretty fundamental. The state flag says Orem Plata. It's the theme of this state. Yes, we have a beautiful state of Montana, but we also have one that has riches to be explored, to be exploited for the use of the community as a whole.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I think that's how we started. I mean, our nickname is the Treasure State. And granted, I think there's lots of valid arguments and discussions over what that treasure represents, but without question, when it was given to our state as a name, it was representing the mineral and other natural resources that we had in great abundance. And that is what the date that we selected for Montana Mining Day, which is February 9th, represents. February 9th, 1865 is when our state adopted the Oro y Plata motto, and that's also part of our state seal, which has the miner's pick and shovel on it. So I think it's that important. It is, it's what brought the first influx of people to our state, searching for gold and other minerals, and then the agriculture to develop those resources, because miners work hard, they're hungry, and they need barley and whatnot for their breads and beers and that. So, I mean, the two largest, I think, flagship industries in Montana are mining and agriculture. They've been hand in glove ever since they first started. So,
little background of you. In addition to being the executive director of the Mining Association, you also served as chief executive officer for Butte.
Correct.
And,
the mining city.
And
richest hill on earth.
And that's part of my point, is if you want to talk about the penultimate experience to explain the importance, the downfalls at times, or the difficulties, as well as the great riches that can be gained, it's found in the city of Butte.
Absolutely. And so are the lessons on what we've learned on how not to do it. And I would also add in another very pertinent part of my background for our discussion today was before I was the chief executive of Butte Silverbow, I was the executive director of the Clark Fork Watershed Education Program, which is a place-based science program to teach about the whole gamut of what happened here in the upper Clark Fork Basin from a Superfund perspective, looking at both the costs that we're continuing to deal with and manage today, but certainly the mass benefits that without doubt we wouldn't be here without what those benefits were. And so it's a way to wrap up using the restoration project that starts in Butte and goes all the way downstream to Milltown as an outdoor science lab to teach students and citizens about their watershed through what has happened to it and what is going to improve its health, but also talking about the economic history, the industrial history, the societal changes and benefits and impacts that happened as a result of mining and smelting.
Well, the Montana Mining Days is going to offer that opportunity to further the conversation to those who may be already an advocate of mining, those who are hesitant about mining, as well as to make sure that folks understand the complete landscape of what mining means to them.
Absolutely. I mean, I think maybe going back to that, if it can't be grown, it must be mined. People need to understand that the life we live today, and in order for that life and the technologies to continue to advance and our national defense to keep us secure, those things don't happen without not just recycling and reusing materials, but establishing new mines. And if we don't do those mines in places like Montana and the United States, which without argument have the most stringent safety, labor, and environmental standards of any mining jurisdiction in the world, that mining will be done in places where there is no care, much less requirement given to important things like worker safety and living wages and water quality and ecosystem protection. And so while I think our adversaries, which I get it, you establish a business model and you have to do things that keep you in business, but the fights they pick and the campaigns they wage against mining in America only mean that the mining is being done in places that are every bit as important as the landscapes we cherish in Montana, if not more. I mean, look at some of the illegal mining that is going on in the Amazon basin or in some of these pristine jungle regions of Africa. I mean, that's where the mining takes place if it isn't done under the responsible and watchful eye of what we have put in place because of the lessons we've learned over time here in Montana. And that's our motto, our mission as an association is to promote and protect responsible mining in Montana.
Well, one of the things that Butte is famous for, of course, is copper mining. And copper mining has been the bulwark of the advancements of the society.
Absolutely.
And it's used oftentimes by those who would be critical of the mining industry as a failure. but it is not a failure in your estimation. It is a showing of, yes, exploitation of the resources was necessary, but we also, as a mining association, are addressing those needs and making sure that we're also on the forefront of making sure mining in the future is responsible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of exploitation and things that we just can't tolerate in today's industry and society, for that matter, that, resulted in Butte being able to supply the country and much of the world with the necessary supply of copper. But that would never be allowed, or I don't think there's a company who would condone that sort of development in today's day and age. It just couldn't happen, especially in Montana and the United States.
But it's always a trade-off.
It is.
There is a matter of trade-off. I was watching a CNBC story a few months ago that talked about an average American uses 12 pounds of copper, as an example.
Surprised it's that low. Quite
it probably is a lot high. But let's use the facility over by White Sulphur Springs. Mm-hmm. There is a absolute dedicated process for making sure that the next mine that's going to be proposed follows environmental regulations.
So I think Black Butte is a shining example of how mining should and must be done in today's day and age. And that starts with, the many years of baseline monitoring and designs and exploration that they did around that project. But even as important was the way they embraced reaching out and having the conversations with the stakeholders and the communities there. That is a very important part of any mine in today's day and age. They call it the social license. So you have to gain that trust and develop a dialogue with the community so that you know what their concerns are and what their standards are, because they change. Even though there's minimum regulations on environmental standards, every community has its own standards that a company, if it's doing things responsibly, should take heed to try and meet those needs and requests. And I think Black Butte has just done an outstanding job of doing that.
And all of this is an evolutionary process.
And that's where Montana has really kind of led the industry in certain places. I think because of the fallout from the Pegasus bankruptcy, which still has us having to find ways to fund the ongoing environmental management of sites. That was a shortfall in bonding. We have taken care of that now, to where any mine, you're not allowed to even begin mining until you have posted the proper amount of bond, and then that bond is reviewed comprehensively every 5 years and increased according to inflation and what we know about the operation today versus how the bond was set 5 years ago. And then there's also that ongoing catch where anytime you propose an amendment or something new into your operation, you have to bond for that before you were allowed to move forward. So there's a good example of how we've adjusted our bonding laws here in Montana to make sure things don't happen the way they have happened in the past. We've looked at other jurisdictions to see what sort of catastrophes can happen, and we looked at the Mount Polley tailings dam failure in 2014 up in British Columbia that washed out and contaminated large stretches of a watershed up there, and we said, this can never happen. We have to make sure this doesn't happen. And so the Montana Mining Association, with some of its staunch supporters in the legislature, brought forth and passed the only jurisdiction in the world that has tailings storage facility regulations built into its environmental law. So there's another great example. Hard Rock Mining Impact Act, that's something that makes a mine, if you're moving in, because these mines are developed where the minerals are. And just by the nature of how geology works, that happens in mountain areas. And there's usually not a whole lot of people that live near these areas. And so if all of a sudden you take White Sulphur Springs as a good example, you take a town like White Sulphur Springs and all of a sudden develop a mine that's going to take 300 new employees to come in, you need to help that community plan for and deal with that impact before it happens. Because of the way our minerals are taxed, you don't generate revenue until after you're actually producing. And so what the Hard Rock Mining Impact Act does is it requires by law that the company has to work with that local community to come up with, okay, how many new police officers is it going to take? How many new hundreds or thousands of feet of water and sewer line are we going to need in order to serve the people in the project that's coming in here? And they find a way to pay forward on those taxes that will eventually come, but it's going to be a few years that the community can't do without if they want to properly plan for that or that operation. And so those are just some examples of things Montana does that no other place does, that I think is good examples of how we've learned from lessons and even tried to stay ahead of the curve.
My sweetheart's a mule in the mine. I drive her with only one line. On the backboard I sit, tobacco I spit all over my sweetheart's behind. Sweetheart's a mule in the mine. I drive her with only one line. On the backboard I sit, tobacco I spit all over my sweetheart's behind.